module. Then he'll head down to the payload bay. And once he gets there, he's going to go aft in the payload bay, and he's going to temporarily stow that FGB, that fixed grapple bar, on the LMC. And the LMC is a platform that we're used to launch the new ammonia tank, which you see the big white box there. While he's doing that, Clay's going to follow him out of the airlock, and Clay will also head up to the old starboard ammonia tank, and he is going to disconnect the nitrogen lines and the ammonia lines that go to that ammonia tank. This is just in preparation for EVA2 when we actually swap out this tank. So once he's done disconnecting those 4 lines, he'll put the thermal cover back over them. He'll go to the forward side of the truss to a CETA cart. CETA cart is a mobile EVA work platform that we use. And he's going to grab an articulated portable foot restraint, or just a foot restraint, from that CETA cart, put it on his body restraint tether, and he'll take that to the payload bay. So on his way there, just as Rick did, Clay will do a tether swap to a second tether to allow him to reach the payload bay, except he'll do it on top of the Node 2 module. Then he'll head down and meet Rick in the payload bay at the LMC. And once he's at the LMC, Clay is going to install his foot restraint into a worksite interface, or a WIF. And while Clay's doing that, Rick is going to bolt that fixed grapple bar to the side of the ammonia tank. You can see that fixed grapple bar is flashing in blue here. So bolt that on, and this is, again, what the arm will use to grapple the ammonia tank so we can move it. Simultaneously, Clay will be installing that foot restraint into the LMC. Once he gets it installed, he will pop into it, and Rick and Clay will then unbolt the 4 bolts that hold the ammonia tank to the LMC, and they'll pick it up out of the soft docks and hand it to the arm, where the arm's going to grapple it. Once the arm has it, Clay's going to remove his foot restraint off the LMC. He's going to take it out of the payload bay and put it on Node 2 and just leave it there until he needs it again on EVA3. And while he's doing that, Rick is going to be translating out to the Japanese experiment module, to the exposed facility on it, where he's going to retrieve the impact seed experiment. An impact seed is a materials experiment that the Japanese have out there. So he'll go out, and you see it flashing in blue there, and he'll install a cover on it to protect the experiment. Then he'll take it off and put it on his body restraint tether. Here's some MBL footage of him unbolting it. And the experiment itself is what's in his left hand. So he's using his pistol grip tool to undo the bolts on it. And then he'll pop the experiment off, put it on his BRT, and take it to the airlock. And again, the impact seat is what just came off there. So he'll translate back down the Japanese module, back down space station to the airlock, and he's just going to temporarily stow the impact seat on the outside of the airlock until he puts it inside the airlock at a later time. And while this is happening, the arm is moving the new ammonia tank that it just took from the EV crew in the payload bay over to the external storage platform 2, or ESP2, which is just outside the airlock. And Rick and Clay are going to meet the arm there. They're going to take an adjustable grapple bar off of the spare flex hose rotary coupler, or FHRC, and they're going to mount this grapple bar to the ATA. Here's some MBL footage of them installing that onto the ATA. And basically, this is going to be used for the POA, which is the Payload ORU Accommodation device on the mobile platform, or the mobile transporter. It has an end effector just like the arm, so the robotic arm will fly the ATA over to the POA, and actually the POA will then grapple this adjustable grapple bar, and then the arm will release the ATA, and we'll leave it there between EVA 1 and 2. While that's happening, Clay is going to come inside to the forward part of the truss here, and he's going to unbolt 2 bolts on a rate gyro assembly. So the RGA is another box the crew will be changing out. It's bolted, it has 2 bolts on the inside of the truss and then 2 bolts on the outside of the truss. So while Clay's on the inside, on the forward side of the truss, Rick will go get the spare RGA and come to the back side of the truss. And he's going to temp stow the bag that has that RGA in it, the new one. Then he'll configure the work site so he can pull out the old one. He'll move that flashing piece of equipment if he needs to get it out of the way. Then he'll open up the thermal blanket. He'll unbolt the failed or the old RGA and pull it out. And here's some MBL footage of him pulling that out. It's a little bit smaller than an ATA. So he'll temp stow that just above him, and he'll grab the new one from the bag he brought out with him, install the new one, put the old one in the bag, and then clean up the work site. Put the thermal blanket back over the RGA, and put any equipment back that he had to move to gain access to it. When he's done installing the new RGA, he's going to take the old one that's in the bag now and take it to the forward side of the truss and just temporarily stow it there, and he'll leave it and pick it up on his way inside the airlock later on. Once he temp stows it, he's going to go inside the truss and install the 2 bolts that Clay had removed on the old one. After that, they will clean up everything and head back inside to the airlock, which will conclude EVA1.
This is Mission Control Houston. Once again, that was lead spacewalk officer for this flight, David Cohen, talking about what's ahead for Clay Anderson and Rick Mastracchio as they step outside tomorrow.